On New at 6, we told you last week about the plans for a new Anderson County jail. The current jail is the oldest in South Carolina, more than 70 years old. And now county leaders approved $55 million for a new jail. We sat down with Anderson County Sheriff Chad McBride to talk about the current conditions at the jail and how much that new one will help the county.
And to go in more in depth here on the Anderson County Jail that will now be under construction, we want to bring in the Anderson County Sheriff Chad McBride. So Sheriff, thanks as always for joining us. To get right into it, you're pretty well known for putting things bluntly. This jail that currently sits behind you is nearly 70 years old. How would you describe that jail to anybody asking?
I'll tell you, the jail is it's one of these buildings that's used 24/7, 7 days a week, 365. People don't realize the wear and tear that goes on this building, using it day in and day out. And of course, it's a jail meant for about 205 people, and today we're somewhere around 450. So you can imagine the restraints, the situation, and I know what people say. Hey, it's a jail. It's not supposed to be comfortable. That's not the dilemma. The dilemma is it's unsafe. And it's not just unsafe for the inmates, it's unsafe for my deputies that work down there, which seems to get, they're probably the most forgotten population in all this when it comes to the jail, is the men and women that serve this county and this community that have to work in these conditions. So it is certainly long overdue. It's been a can that this county has kicked down the road for a lot of years, and it's time that we finally do something about it. I'm very pleased with our county council that has stepped up, and they've made this a priority to move forward with this project. But it is a unique situation, being the oldest jail still in operation in South Carolina. We have certainly made the most out of it, the best we can, and we have polished this thing the best we can. But it is time for day-to-day operations and for the safety of our people that work within the jail and the safety of the people that are inside the jail. It's time to move this project forward.
And you mentioned the safety. That's a really important aspect, is because you mentioned the inmate count, nearly double of what the capacity is there currently. So what's it like to be in your position as sheriff to know that basically it is busting at the seams, which really could create a dramatic situation inside the jail at any moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So you got a situation where you may have a 10-man cell and you got 25 people stuffed inside that cell. So tensions are going to be high. There's going to be fights. With that, when you have detention officers, detention deputies come through and they're trying to do head counts, or maybe tend to somebody that needs attending to, it makes it very difficult, makes it very dangerous, and it's impossible. It's impossible to keep up in that environment. Just to give you a perspective, there is absolutely no room in the jail. We've converted a broom closet basically to be the office in which the inmates meet with their attorneys. The only space that we have that basically the officers could get away from the jail type scenario is their small mess hall where they eat lunch and dinner. And there is basically a break room too, but when it's so overflowing and beyond full capacity, which we are right now, it becomes another room to house more inmates. So there's no room down there for anything, and it makes it a dangerous situation. But also the way the jail is now, in the old linear style as it was built back in the 1950s, it's impossible to maintain a lot of times order on the floor, or it makes it very difficult. Our folks actually do a really good job considering, but it's definitely can put us at a deficit certain times throughout the shift.
And lastly here, in regards to the new jail, what kind of focus will be on mental health? Is because I know that is also becoming part of your job as well there at the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, is the mental health focus. So what opportunities does this new jail bring to focus on those mental health resources?
Well, obviously with the new jail, we'll have a facility that can certainly accommodate those needs, especially. I tell you right now, people. Matter of fact, I have mothers and grandmothers, it seems like, and of course girlfriends and everything that call up here and they raise a lot of cane because their loved one that's in the jail can't be moved throughout the jail, or they can't be moved from a certain area. Well, there's nowhere to move anybody. You may have several violent offenders that are at kind of the top tier of the list within the jail, and then you have, somebody that's committed to DUI and they're a lower tier offender, and unfortunately, these people are going to be mixed together, and there's nowhere to put them. So having more room, being able to flex, being able to put different offenders, different tiered offenders, and the correct populations that they need to be in will certainly help. And this includes the folks that have mental health issues. And so with that, it'll help us be able to. We have a full-time medical team down here too that assesses a lot of this stuff. We also have cooperation from the South Carolina Mental Health Department that sends a counselor down here to also facilitate those in need that have mental health issues. But you don't want necessarily if they're struggling with schizophrenia and other mental health issues, and sticking them in the cell full of other regular offenders is usually can be a recipe for disaster. So this will enable us with this focus to be able, with the new jail, being able to kind of separate those from certain populations that don't need to be mixed in with the other populations. So that'll help. Also, the mental health court in Anderson County, I think, from time to time, well, I'd say almost daily, probably, and weekly, there's situations where we have dealt with somebody on the street. Perhaps they didn't assault an actual victim, a person. Maybe they didn't steal something from an actual victim, but it was almost like you had to put them, you had to arrest them to get them off the street for their own safety. We see those situations all the time. Because there's nowhere else to send them other than jail, ironically. So those situations, as we get a mental health court developed, they'll be able to see those cases and hear those cases and perhaps get them through the mental health department to get them medication and stuff like that they need, and hopefully so they won't come back.
All right, Sheriff Chad McBride for us in Anderson County. Some very interesting insight there for us this evening. Sheriff, thank you.